Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this how to play video, I'm going to show you the deck that I actually played to Legend this season, going 15-2 in the final stretch, with some luck with the matchups I suppose. But that does not detract from the power of the deck. This is a really fun deck. It's an old-fashioned deck, it's nothing really new. It's the Mind Blast Control Priest. And what does Mind Blast Priest do, you ask me? It shoots face. And when you're priest, you have traditionally not had that many chances to shoot face. Or anyway, you didn't before Frozen Throne brought Shadow Reaper Anduin into the mix. Between Shadow Reaper Anduin and Mind Blast, the purpose of this deck is to shoot face. There are 3 key numbers for you to remember when playing this deck, and those numbers are 16, 19 and 22. And those numbers are the amount of damage you're able to deal when you are Shadow Reaper Anduin and you have either 2, 3 or 4 Mind Blasts in hand and you have 10 mana available. Very often slower games with this deck are a mind game, where you try to get your opponent to a lower health total, closer to that 16, but if you have played any Shadow Visions to fetch for more Mind Blasts, you might be satisfied with just 19. You're playing dare on the opponent on, okay, when are you going to heal? Do you dare to heal now? Do you dare to take a chance that I have enough damage? And that sort of dance continues. And it's a dance with an additional partner, which is Alexstrasza. Alexstrasza can either initiate the dance, so that you use Alexstrasza, put the opponent's health to 15. Okay, you're asking very directly, do you have healing? Alternatively, if you can whittle down their health already before, then it's possible that Alexstrasza is a trump card. Okay, you get their health down, they use their healing button. Emergency, time to heal, and then Alex. Oh, no you don't. You're back to where you started. Do you have more healing? This is the kind of intricate dance that is going on in slower matchups with Anduin, Alexstrasza and Mind Blasts. Of course, in general, when you're in Anduin form, every turn you have to think about, okay, how do I get as many pings going as possible? Because your hero power is refreshed whenever you play a card. So typically you want to start with the hero power, play a card, play hero power, maybe play a card and play hero power. But you really need to think about how many of those you're able to fit in. That's the primary win condition for something a bit slower. But things don't always work out that way. Because of course you're facing also aggressive decks and you face various situations, you might not even draw Anduin. You're always trying to draw Anduin at some point. It's good even in aggressive matchups typically. But while you're working towards that goal, sometimes you also have a chance to use Alexstrasza if you have some minions on the board, hit a bit with them, and just use the Mind Blasts without changing your hero. And that can also bring you some wins. Do not underestimate the value of chip damage from minions, because things like Twilight Drake can deal quite a bit of damage in many matchups. There are also some other pretty sweet tools in this one, such as Scaleworm. I really like Scaleworm. Scaleworm is a very important card because it both allows you to typically stabilize, so your opponent has the board, but Scaleworm can trade into something over there. Potentially it might even survive and get a 2-for-1 trade. And every once in a while I find myself playing Scaleworm, even though there's nothing to remove, just so that I can have an offensive threat on the board in slower matchups, so that I can try to push for that chip damage. The deck also has quite nice board clear functionality, because you have Wild Pyromancer, and there are so many things that you can do with Wild Pyromancer. Obviously using Pyromancer with some spells, especially Powered Shield, which buffs its health so it survives longer. You can clear surprisingly big boards with this one. And you can also use this in combination with Acolyte of Pain, so you start jamming those spells, Acolyte of Pain takes 1 damage every time, draws you cards, and with Northshire Cleric, you play a spell, minions get damaged, the next spell you play is a Divine Hymn, and you draw a bunch of cards. Some pretty interesting stuff can be accomplished with the Pyromancer in addition to board clears. And then you obviously have the Duskbreaker, which is a huge swing card, very, very important card. And finally, you have the Psychic Scream. And don't be afraid of using Psychic Scream with this deck. This deck doesn't win games in fatigue. Whatever is in your opponent's deck, it really doesn't matter to you that much. In fact, the more junk you can shuffle into the opponent's deck, the better, so that their draws will be worse. There are also primordial drakes in the deck, so that's yet another way to clear some token boards. So lots of ways to deal area of effect damage with this deck. And on top of all of that, there's also the combo of Twilight Acolyte and Cabal Shadow Priest. So you can change the attack of something that your opponent holds into 2, and then you can steal it with the Cabal Shadow Priest. That's a potentially very powerful combo. But don't always look for that combo. Cabal Shadow Priest is great for stealing eggs and stuff like that, if you're given a chance. And Twilight Acolyte is also a card that you can play for tempo. Let's say your opponent has a 4/4 on the board, and you respond to that with a Twilight Acolyte. Then suddenly you played a 3-mana 4/4, and your opponent's 4/4 becomes a 2/4. So there's quite a lot you can do. Or you can jam this against a Mountain Giant, turn that into a 2/8. In some matchups you can go for the combo to get steals, but don't be afraid of using Twilight Acolyte also as a tempo tool. One of the best cards in this deck, and one of the most difficult ones to use properly, is Shadow Visions. Because okay, in slow matchup you can Shadow Visions into more Mind Blasts, so you can have big burst available. However, there are so many good targets for Shadow Visions, and it all depends on the matchup. Facing a lot of Deathrattles, okay, you might want to go for more Screams, so that you can shuffle those Deathrattles back into the deck. Or in some cases you might want to go for Mass Dispel if you want it early. If you're facing something that buffs stuff a lot, it's again choice between Mass Dispel and Psychic Scream. If you're facing something very aggressive, sometimes you need additional copies of Divine Hymn. And sometimes you just want another powered shield for use with your Wild Pyromancer. So there's tons of ways to use Shadow Visions, and recognizing what you will need from Shadow Visions is one of the keys to winning games with this deck. Mulligans with this deck are relatively easy actually. You're always looking for card draw. If you're facing something that's aggressive, you're looking for board clears. If you're facing something that is slow, you're looking for your win conditions. So there are cards like Notchar Cleric, Acolyte of Pain, always great cards. If you're facing something aggressive, you're looking for Pyromancers, you're looking for Duskbreakers. You might also be looking for Scale Worms. Scale Worm is generally a pretty decent keep in semi-aggressive matchups at least. And if you're facing something slow, you want to hold on to your Anduin. Overall, I had a great time playing this deck, and as I said, this is the deck that I played to Legend in November. It is a deck that struggles a lot against Druid and Warrior, but against everything else it's at least okay. It can take on Deathrattle Hunters, it can fight against any kinds of Warlocks, it can fight against Rogues. It is very favored against odd Paladin. So while there is some polarization, and if I was facing mostly Druids and Warriors I would not play this deck at all, it's still a very capable deck. To demonstrate what I mean, let's go take a look at it in action. Electric Scale Worm Scream. I think I can try this. So yeah, there are certain matchups where Benedictus is good, but mostly it's Warrior, and Warrior is the least played of those three, so it kind of isn't that great. It's a very specific deck card. And you used to see it in tournament decks, in Priest tournament decks that were targeting, in lineups that they were not really targeted, but they were expecting a lot of Warrior. That's where you used to see Benedictus. That's like the only case. There's probably a Deathrattle Hunter, because every Secret Hunter would have found something playable. He mulliganed his entire hand, so he didn't get a great start. I wonder if you can still jam that egg and stuff on the board. Just a Spider Bomb. I think I want to kill the Spider Bomb immediately still. It will cost me the Scale Worm, but it takes away the Spider Bomb. So, because he obviously has a bit of a clunky hand right now. The only saver he could have there is Deathstalker Rexa, which would mean that he would turn up his game plan very different, because he didn't have the intense tempo opener. Then Deathstalker Rexa would switch the game into a very different direction. I think I want to kill that spider bomb too. Now let's kill it. One of these will die. It's the scale worm anyway. Now he can just flanking strike the cleric. So this cleric turned out to be a pretty bad thing here. I also can't remove Hunter's marks and Bladeds. Well, I do have the Psychic Scream, of course, but if it shuffles like a dozen more cubes into his deck, might not be that great. Now I cannot deal with the show. That is the sad fact of life. What I can do is draw a card. I think I will take advantage of that at least. Because I like cards. Cards are fun. Now he can start playing some real stuff. Maybe cube and Bladed. Still has the coin too, so there's all sorts of Katrina plays available. I could have potentially used this later. Cabal Shadow Priest. Just try to steal something big. But I don't have the Cabal Shadow Priest in hand yet, so I'm not sure how effective that would be. There is the cube. And there is the Bladed. So everything is as predicted. Alright. So far so good. I don't want to scream yet. He has been holding on that coin, so maybe he wants to play some big stuff on the board. Maybe I can get more value from screaming later. For now I'll just make a big Drake. Let's see if he coins something out. Or not. Hunter's Mark. Okay. He doesn't have to get anything more on the board though. He can be just fine with these. And save for building another big board later. I think that would be pretty smart, just pressuring me with 10 damage. It still puts up a fairly respectable clock. No need to hurry up. Okay. I'll be forced to scream this board. I think I'm just losing this. I don't see any way that I can come back from here. I'm just not seeing it. Well, that was probably the worst card he could play in this position. So that was at least good. Because now I get to kill the Charged Devils for free. That might be like just the thing that can get me back into the game. But I guess when it's followed up by a King Crush, then that makes it a bit less good. It's unlikely for Primordial Drake to survive. I guess it's unlikely for Alex to survive either, but let's just Alex him in the face. See, how about this approach? What do you have there? Obviously if he has Cube and Deathrattle Activator. Now but he picks up the second Hunter's Mark off the top. That was a big deal. That was a really, really big deal. Now I probably lost the game. I figured he might not have an answer. Still two cards that have been there from the start. Both Hunter's Marks have been spent. I think I have to try this approach. Let's see. Hope we can get some nice priest cards in the next expansion. We'll see. Oh, he sacrifices the Crush. That is intriguing. Oh, why does Ziliax play like this? Oh, that was such a bad play. Can I punish? Is there a way for me to punish this? I suppose there probably isn't, but... because he could have healed with that Celiax if he wanted to. But he chose not to heal. I have only one Divine Hymn that could heal me, otherwise I am dead in 2 turns to just the hero power. And obviously I will also die to any minions, so... but... I can top deck Mind Blast. I would also die to a Candle Shot. But if he found a Candle Shot here, he would have picked it up already. Okay, I will need the Divine Hymn. Or a Mind Blast. Mind Blast wins the game. Divine Hymn can stall. Yeah, he will be 1 off again. Mass Dispel. Then Hero Power, Divine Hymn, Hero Power. First the Mass Dispel. Then the Hero Power to the face. And Divine Hymn. And then the Hero Power to the face. He's 1 off with these at the moment. And I have 9 damage for next turn in hand. So he needs to draw 1 damage. And that is not 1 damage. So that's a win. Well, I need stuff like Duskbreaker, I suppose. Maybe I'll try to keep Twilight Drake. But even Duskbreaker doesn't kill a Tug, so that's kind of a problem. I'm assuming Odd Rogue anyway. Yep, that's an Odd Rogue. I don't think I'm very well positioned to fight against this. This hand also isn't that great here. Like, I can find Divine Hymns, but they don't really stall nearly enough. I need stuff like Duskbreaker, Scale Worm. I kept the Twilight Drake so that I will have an activator and an alternative 4-drop if I can't find anything else. Although there was the chance that I could also mulligan the Twilight Drake. I don't know, seems a bit difficult at the moment. The way he's thinking right now makes me think that there's Flame Elemental and Cold Blood in hand. See, if you wanted YouTube, you should make a video on this deck titled Insane Control with 100% win rate. That sounds exactly like this deck, right? Oh, now I would really want to find a Pyromancer. I would have the mana to Shadow Visions, but what do I want from Shadow Visions? I mean, I could pick up like Powered Shield, in case I pick up a Pyromancer. But if I can't find the Pyromancer, the Powered Shield doesn't do much. Picking up some Mind Blast doesn't do anything. Or this kind of... let's try to pick up the Powered Shield, I guess. Mass Dispel. I'm actually picking up the Mass Dispel. Because this can clear out Cold Bloods and stuff. Let's see. 3 for Twilight Acolyte. Not very impressive. 8 cards in hand. I need to go with the Acolyte of Pain here. I have to find better cards. If I can't find better cards, I will simply die. Looking for Pyromancer, looking for Duskbreaker potentially. No! Silence from Blinkfox. You don't see that every day. But there's my Pyromancer. But the Pyromancer cannot live. Because I picked up the Mass Dispel and not the Powered Shield. Oh me of little faith. Should have had more faith in my ability to pick up the Powered Shield. Even if I pick up Powered Shield from this one, it's not going to save the Pyromancer anymore. Neither is the Divine Hymn. But I might need Divine Hymn otherwise. I want to kill that fellow. I have to throw away the coin. At least it removes most of the board. If this was a powered shield, I would have had a better turn there. So maybe that's what it should have been. Now if I mass dispel here, then he can still just drop the Fungal Mancer next turn. And if I don't mass dispel here, I just risk dying. Some awkward alternatives. I probably need to try this. But I'm not surviving. Haven't seen the Fungal Mancer yet, of course, but we'll see. So many ways for him to kill off the Twilight Acolyte too. That's going to be an SI7 agent. I can't even top deck a Scream to survive, I don't have enough mana. Duskbreaker on the other hand is pretty good. Is it good enough to let me survive? Opposite wipes this board. If I go to 13, that's going to be 4, 6. Leroy from hand would be 12. I would still survive a Leroy from hand just barely. But how do I live multiple turns? I think I need to heal my face just here. And next turn try to go with the Divine Hymn. Because I still can't even go with the Drake next turn. Alternatively, if I played him this turn and I top deck Psychic Scream, would that have been more of an out? I hope he doesn't find Mind Blast. Really hope he doesn't find Mind Blast. So I just need to trade here. I need to play a Twilight Drake and then play the Divine Hymn. So I heal up a little bit. I'm in a slightly better shape. He has so many cards, some of them from my deck. There's only one Mind Blast in my deck, so he couldn't get double Mind Blast. Leroy Mind Blast is obviously lethal here. Very little I can do about that right now. He can still have Vile Spines. Primordial Drake leaves him with 1 minion on the board. If that card is a Vile Spine Slayer, or if the top deck is a Vile Spine Slayer, what alternatives do I have? I could mass dispel, but then he will have 2 minions on the board in order to play a Fungal Mancer on them. I think it has to be the Primordial Drake now. It's the only way that I have to reduce his minion count currently to 1. He has only 2 cards from his own deck. There's still a Mass Dispel in my deck, so he can still silence. Then he would need 2 damage. So an SI7 agent or something. He has a dragon in hand. Well, this one and the dagger can't kill the Drake yet. He still needs something more. So there's a dragon in hand. Drake, Alex. Plenty of options there. Yeah, these don't line up perfectly here. Depending on what else you have. Okay. So Pyromancer and the last card that he has there is a dragon. So if I Alex my own face, the dragon is... was Alex still in my deck when he got that? Or is it a Drake or a Duskbreaker? You also have the option to just scale down one of these. At some point he's going to find Leroy or he's going to find Cold Blood. This is a Divine Hymn turn, right? I kill this one. I play the Acolyte. And I hymn so that this one goes to 4 health and I go up to 15. So that I don't die to Leroy Coldblood. That card is a dragon. Okay, no synergies. I figured as much. And now he has 2 cards. Leroy Coldblood Dagger is 30 and it's 12. So that would not immediately kill me. What if I Alex him down to 15? Then he needs an answer. I can't leave this up because then I could die. I'm 1 off with that line. I think I'll try this. Leroy Coldblood is 1 off. He would need Leroy and Coldblood and Deckhand or SI7 Agent. 3 consecutive draws. And one of them has to be Leroy for him to have lethal here. It's slightly more likely that he can have a Vilespine Slayer that can kill the Alex. But there shouldn't be a lethal. There are a couple of ways he can have lethal. Leroy is one piece that has to be there. Coldblood is another piece that has to be there. The next piece could be a Deckhand or an SI7 Agent or another Coldblood. But that sort of combination is pretty unlikely. Well, Deadly Poison can also do it. If there's the Leroy. And the Coldblood, of course. So there were a few, but now he just dies, right? Now just dies to a single Mind Blast. I think I'm mulligan all of this stuff. Let's try to find something, because this could beat Zoo. Let's try to find something more effective. It could also be an even lock, and this build doesn't run Shadow Word Death, so a turn 4 Giant would absolutely be a problem for me. I think this Flaming is also a problem for me. I mean, I could play the Cleric. He is guaranteed to trade into the Cleric. Is the Cleric ever going to accomplish more for me in this game? That's unlikely. Let's throw the Cleric out as bait. Up until a tournament I played into, I lost more like half of the games against Tempo Mage. Now you are favored against Tempo Mage though. You should be okay in that matchup. With this hand I believe I have to spend the coin. I'm not happy about this, but I think I need to. I need to make a 3-4 so that I can try to fight for this board. This means that any other stuff is coming down a little bit later, but can't really help that. I did get a Soulfire in return, so it wasn't all bad. I'm going to play another Acolyte here. If I don't play an Acolyte, I'm completely committed to playing Duskbreaker next turn. I think I'm committed to playing Duskbreaker next turn. I think it will be fine. That's the last turn before he can Fungal Mancy something, so I need to clean that up anyway. I'm so happy he didn't top deck a Saronite Chain Gang there, because that would have messed up my Duskbreaker. Yeah, that's a Duskbreaker board. Let's kill those. But he did have that early Kelleset. Just a regular Chain Gang. Well, that's a piece of good news. But now Fungal Mancer is available. Which card do I need to win the game? Let's see what I'm being offered. Well, I am being offered more Screams. I probably need to go something like Scream and Scream, and that seems likely.
Beware the shadow.
Now I need to do this. He will play the Fungal Mancer now if he has one. Almost guaranteed. There is the Fungal Mancer indeed. As I expected. Oh, that's a lot of screams. I still need to buy some time before I start screaming. Let's do that with this Twilight Acolyte here. Then it's going to be a lot of screaming. Okay. He gets to push in some damage. I think I want to shuffle the Acolyte into his deck too. All the way down to 12. It's obviously not ideal. Because there are some specific outs for him now. I'm not very happy about that. Just the Mossy Horror. That's intriguing. Does he have a buff for it? Maybe. So I could use this opportunity. Leroy Power Overwhelming. No Power Overwhelming. But Leroy or Doomguard, definitely. Definitely possible. It's probably the best chance I have to develop Anduin. Let's play the Anduin. At 17 I am out of reach of Doomguard Soulfire plays. So there's something that Soul Infusioned in hand right now. And he's wondering whether to play it or not. Double Soul Infusion. Oh, if that's on a charge minion. There could be like... Now there could be a 10 damage. Oh boy. There can be some big boys now. This is getting a little bit scary. Just a tiny bit. Because this one has now been Soul Infusioned twice. Pair of 5/5s. Scary stuff. And there's still the double Soul Infusioned, whatever it is. It's unlikely to be Silence. But there might be some outs for him here. I don't dare to Psychic Scream now. I don't think I do.
The shadows grow short.
I need to play Primordial Drake. And I think I need to ping here. Because that's probably going to be a 10 damage charger. And if he can find a Soulfire to go with that, he has lethal. And he's looking. Oh boy, he's looking. That is not a Soulfire. That is not a Soulfire. He's down to 13, but how do I push the damage? Right now I just can't push the damage. I think I need to play the Primordial Drake here again. I can still die to a Soulfire. No, I cannot. Not right now. Which one of these do I hit? The tree one, I guess. Let's try this approach for now. That has got to be a charger. He would never play like this unless that was a charge minion. It is the only possibility. So I can Scale Worm and ping down the Despicable Dreadlord. Because I don't have a single Mind Blast. If I had single Mind Blast, that would be lethal. So this is Scale Worm. Ping. Powered Shield, ping. I can Powered Shield first, because if I find the Mind Blast, that is still lethal. This is the correct order. There's the Mind Blast. Well, then we just kill him. Instead of clearing the board, then we just kill him when we drew the Mind Blast. Alright. I'm going to need a Dusk Break for this one. Pyromancer might also do, if I can find a spell. Well, I have a coin.
None will survive.
Is an odd Paladin okay? Alright, let's see, can we do it? Or will I falter on the last step?
Converting stored energy.
That was a surprise. And not a very pleasant one either.
Reporting for duty.
I don't think I can afford to play the Pyromancer yet. Can I really coin an Acolyte either? No, I can't. I can't coin an Acolyte. Before 5 I have to burn all the Silverhand recruits.
Reporting for duty.
And I will need the coin to do that.
Let pain speak to me.
He can burn a card now, if he wants, but I'm fine with that. I already have Anduin. I don't mind getting a card burned. Don't use no, don't use that. That's just wrong. Then we do the Pyromancer. Well, I can't save the Pyromancer anyway. It's always the Pyromancer here. And I suppose the Shadow Visions first. And then the coin. But there will be nothing to coin into. I wanted more screams, right? I think I wanted more screams. I want to kill these because of Fungalmancer. This is still far from over. I have not found a Duskbreaker. He can rebuild.
Reporting for duty.
The light dims, but we fight.
He can rebuild. I know he can rebuild.
The light protects.
See? Easy. I need to try to draw into... Duskbreaker. There's the Fungalmancer as expected. Even a Blessing of Might. I think everything is going phase. I think he just won. Or maybe not. Mass Dispel is not going to be enough. It has to be the Duskbreaker. But then I'm still dead to a Vine Cleaver. No, I'm still dead to a Vine Cleaver. I have no way to survive a Vine Cleaver here.
Medicine insect.
I mean, every play I made was correct, but I'm still dead to Vine Cleaver and I'm dead to Leroy.
Reporting for duty.
Well, if he didn't, then he certainly has now. Too bad. This is a favorable matchup too, but I couldn't do it. Not this time. Needed another turn to get to the Primordial Drake and I couldn't get that. Yeah, I'm dead to a Vine Cleaver, I'm dead to a Leroy, and he should definitely have one of those in hand. I don't have any outs against those. The best I can... I'm actually not dead to a Vine Cleaver. Vine Cleaver is just 4 damage. What am I even talking about? I think I don't want that Divine Shield minion coming back. But I am dead to Leroy, of course. And I will die to Silence next turn.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
But most of these decks don't run Silence, so maybe he doesn't have it. But I assume there will be a level up at least.
Reporting.
No, but there was a Leroy. Or can this be a Murloc Mage? I think I still have to keep this mulligan for Murloc Mage. But if it turns out to be big spells, then I still of course need a spell for the Pyro, but oh boy, it's big spell. This is going to be a problem. This is going to be a major problem. Okay, so I need to be luckier than he is. That's the way this matchup works.
Is someone injured?
I need to find early Anduin, he must not find Jaina. Then I can win.
Out of my jungle.
I need to keep drawing, right? Next turn he can coin Dragon's Fury anyway if he has it.
Right away.
I think I need to keep drawing. I must find the Anduin. That's the way to win this matchup. Oh, a Chain Gang. Intriguing. Well, I cannot kill this and draw. I don't have to kill all of it. 8 cards in hand, down to 7, up to 9. That checks out.
Someone injured?
We're going to 9 cards. Is there use for Powered Shield? Well, it would keep the Pyromancer alive, but he's going to spend some kind of spell next turn. Yeah. We'll do this. He could coin Meteor. But he doesn't really have to.
Let the pain speak to me.
I want to limit the card draw from this Acolyte. My hand is full. That's a bit of a problem for me right now. He can start milling cards if I steal the Acolyte. I could silence the Acolyte. I can't use the Cleric to draw. I simply cannot use the Cleric to draw anymore. Hand is full. I've drawn a lot, but I haven't found Anduin.
Right away.
I'll do this. I couldn't figure out a better way. I need Anduin, he must not find Jaina. That's the name of the game. So far it's not looking too promising. Not looking too promising at all. Do I need to take a risk here? Because I could play the Acolyte. Then if he makes me draw twice, he can mill a card. And all my important cards are still in the deck. I think I need to take that chance. He now has the opportunity to mill 1 card. There's no really a chance to mill 2.
Need a key?
I just felt like taking this risk now was extremely important. Why is everyone playing the Keysmith build now? That's something I do wonder. Well, this does not allow him to mill. Unlikely to be Frozen Clone. 10 cards in hand. 9 cards in hand. I can still just draw 1. I'll try with the Pyromancer first. We get to see if it's runes. It's always runes. He has shown that he is willing to try to mill me. Maybe he will do it next turn if I let him.
Let me change your mind.
I think I'll still let him. Because I have to find the Anduin. That's the only way to win this. And J now Nate. J now Nate. I have drawn a lot more than he has. I cannot find Anduin. What can you do? What can you do when it goes like this? Very little, I'm afraid. And with no Anduin, he's going to be able to heal so effectively. That's the major problem here. Just gem the Alex here. And punch face with everything. I suppose he can clean all of this up. But let's see. Trying to put on some pressure. Maybe he doesn't have artificers. Maybe. It's not impossible. Maybe there's no artificer. Maybe there's no Geddon. Why not look for more Mind Blasts? Yeah, that's definitely an option too. There's another Mind Blast. One option I have is to scream these back to his deck now. I don't know. I just don't know. I just can't seem to find the right answers here. Now I have 3 Mind Blasts. I need to scream again. Twilight Acolyte. I don't have anything else. Now I have spent all the screams. He must not heal. We did it, Reddit. We did it. We did it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.